All right, let's get rolling. We are at the top of the hour here, so we're really excited to be sharing this topic with you today. We're really excited to have the CyberGuard Advantage team here with us. Ben Rediboim, sorry, I pronounced it perfectly in the warm-ups, and then Ido Amit. We're going to be talking about rethinking the pentest delivery model, something that obviously is near and dear to all of our hearts here at PlexTrac, and then obviously our customers and great partners like CyberGuard Advantage. We're going to be discussing what it means to move from just reporting to actually real outcomes, how you help your customers and your company or your constituents truly make progress in their security posture based on the reporting that's coming out of your pen tests and engagements. So we got a lot of great stuff to talk about today. Ben and Ido, thanks for joining us. We've also got Sarah here with our PlexTrac team. I'm going to have everybody just kind of introduce themselves and give a little bit of background before we kind of dive into the topic. I'm Dan DeClaw. I'll start. I'm Dan DeClaw, the founder of PlexTrac. I've been in cybersecurity for over 20 years now, and excited to just be able to share with the world how we've been able to help customers and companies really make their security posture better and deliver real outcomes through pen testing and proactive security. So excited to be here with you all today. Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll have the CyberGuard team introduce them.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So my name is Sarah Foley, and I'm the VP of Product Management here at PlexTrac. I joined just almost 2 years ago, and time's been definitely flying as I've been having a blast here. And before PlexTrac, I was actually focused on security integrations, more on the endpoint security side. So it's exciting to come to PlexTrac, get to work on the offensive security side, and really see our platform, come to life in that exposure assessment platform space. Ben.
Great. Ben.
Thanks, Dan and Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Rediboim. I'm the director of the offensive security and incident response teams at CyberGuard Advantage. I've been in the cybersecurity space for about 15 years now. From both sides, I like the work. I like to tinker with stuff. I like to see where things break, which got me where I am today. And I'm just happy working with our clients and delivering them the good quality reports and testing that we produce for them.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Ben. Thanks for joining us. Ido.
Hi, my name is Ido Amit. I'm a former software and DevOps engineer and today cybersecurity consultant at CyberGuard Advantage. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you. Back to you, Dan.
Yeah, great. Well, yeah, thanks. And thanks everybody for joining us. We're really, we know your time is valuable, so we're excited to be sharing some of the tips and tricks that we've learned and just discuss how we've been able to help customers improve their security outcomes as a whole. Really, today's webinar is really for security leaders, proactive security testers, practitioners, anybody that's trying to learn, like, hey, how do we move from more static and slow-moving processes related to pen test engagements, pen test results, proactive security engagements, any kind of proactive testing that's going on? How do we move those results into actionable remediation tactics, and what are some tips and tricks? So that's really what we're going to be sharing today. The thesis for today is that the traditional pen test delivery model is broken, right? So I was a pen tester for many years. And one thing I really hated was how long it would take us to write the report. But then also when we would deliver that report, we knew that people weren't going to be doing things with it, right? They would either be putting it on a shelf or just copying and pasting out the information that they felt relevant to then try and go fix. We'd come back for a retest. Oftentimes we'd be rewriting a lot of the same findings from the previous engagement, and then we'd probably be finding new things as well. So the issue at hand is, like, how do we actually ensure that these issues are getting fixed? And one of those ways is to have a better delivery model, a better process around how do we get these results into the hands of the people that need to be fixing them? How do they know how to reproduce them? How do we actually ensure that they are knowing what to do in order to fix it and actually following through with that work? So it's the whole entire concept of mobilizing the troops, the mobilization phase, as Gartner likes to put it, within the continuous threat exposure management category. So really the bottleneck that we've seen, and that Ben and Ido are going to share a little bit about their experience, isn't necessarily the testing, it's the reporting and the handoff, right? So how do you get that report generated quickly post engagement? How do you get those results into the hands of the right people? And to improve that speed to delivery is crucial, because especially in the world of AI, especially in the transformation of the industry that we're in right now and experiencing, firsthand, AI will continue to accelerate, and I predict that it's going to continue to help accelerate attackers at a much faster pace until we can actually use AI to help our defenses and our proactive security posture. So how we improve those speeds, that speed to delivery, how we improve the outcomes for enterprises and customers is really what we're all about. So with that. Yeah. So sorry, I kind of jumped ahead or spoke to the slide before I transitioned it, but we're going to talk a little bit about how CyberGuard Advantage used PlexTrac to redesign their delivery model, and what kind of outcomes this truly has enabled for their customers, for businesses, from an efficiency, scalability, ensuring that quality is still there of the engagement, the reporting, everything that you want out of that report is still the highest quality. Without slowing down how to get it into the hands of the right people for tracking remediation, which results in just better outcomes, right? And improved security posture. Testers can come back later and actually find the new things rather than having to validate the old things aren't fixed. So this all has led to like a better outcomes for CyberGuard Advantage. Ben and Ido, I'll hand it over to you. What did you see in terms of some of the outcomes, by using PlexTrac, and what were some of the initial goals that you had when coming to use PlexTrac?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Maybe I'll start us off here. I just want to highlight again what you said at the beginning, that we have basically a dead document problem. All right, most firms have great hackers, but they deliver their brilliance in the more so static PDF that starts dying the moment it's emailed. And the failure isn't like in the findings of the bugs and vulnerabilities, it's in the fact that the report becomes the bottleneck rather than the roadmap for them to fix the issues. So that's why we changed our model and became more efficient and more productive with our clients. So we're not just selling security tests, we're selling a smoother remediation process. So when the delivery fails, the client spends more time in meetings, explaining the report and actually fixing the vulnerabilities. That's one of the things they wanted to fix by doing that whole new approach.
Yeah, exactly. And so Ido, what has been some of your experience in terms of like, changing this approach? How hard was it to kind of actually shift some of that, shift some of your approach?
It was actually easier than writing the report in a document. It becomes this living journey instead of a slap. The tech teams used to be spooked. They suddenly see a huge document, a lot of lines, a lot of pages, and they have to read through. And suddenly became this interactive, oh, wait, we see this is still open. Who's taking control of that? When are we fixing this? Everything is suddenly moving, both for us and for them. And my personal favorite is the historical retention part. We don't have to go back and reread the entire whatever many lines of what happened last year. We can just click here, see what happened last year, see what's still open, what's going on this year. It creates this streamlining. We never sit and try to dig back into history, trying to find out what happened. Again, that's just my personal favorite, but in as a whole, PlexTrac really streamlines everything for us on the reporting side. It's the same thing without the headache.
So talk to us a little bit about some of the journey that you might have taken with some of your customers, and how you moved from kind of like delayed visibility, right? So the traditional model of, hey, we're working on an engagement, we've got say it's 3 weeks, right? So you may be working on that engagement for 3 weeks, then have another spell of time, so to speak, for that reporting phase, and then you get the delivery into their hands via like a static PDF. Talk to us, like, what was the process like before, and like what does it look like now?
So I can't name any clients, but let's take let's say you have found a few critical vulnerabilities and a few high ones. And in the traditional way, they used to just receive a report. Suddenly they see five really urgent things they have to fix all at once, get spooked, and scramble all over the place, first trying to understand what the issue is, and then trying to understand who's the owner for those issues, and then trying to understand the roadmap to fixing those. In PlexTrac, as soon as we find it, we just shoot them an email. Hey guys, we found something pretty critical. Please take a look at it. We'll start testing, so more things may pop up, but this is what it is, and try to find somebody. Suddenly it becomes those little breadcrumbs that they can one by one, like attack, fix, move on, attack, fix, move on, instead of this whole, here's a bunch of vulnerabilities we found, you guys have at it. And then it creates this whole management doesn't always understand, the developers don't always understand. You need to have technical sessions, try to pass it over. And in PlexTrac, it becomes those little bits where they can not be surprised of them all and just fix them one by one.
That's a great point that you're making there, Ido, because, obviously we allow you to publish those findings even before the full report is published. And that's a great point that you can kind of send those critical things over to your clients so that you're not, freaking them out when you're delivering that full report. So that's a great example of, taking advantage of some of the flexibility within PlexTrac on how you can publish that detail.
Yeah, we in this next slide, we kind of highlight the old way was where static PDF delivery, and that was it, right? And we don't discredit the value of the static report. We always at PlexTrac feel like that is still a very important artifact of the engagement. It represents that point in time when the assessment was done and completed. But you need to actually move into actionable results, right? And this is where that process has broken down. So, from moving from a static PDF delivery into an living engagement workflow, continues to improve the collaboration, the efficiency. Maybe talk to us a little bit about how that collaboration post engagement have you seen actionable results, and demonstrable like outcomes come out of that?
Definitely. And it mainly comes down to the different organizational levels the client has. In a static report, you need the same document to be actionable, understandable, and to age well, both for C-level employees, both for the engineers themselves, both for security people on the client's end. And in PlexTrac, we already have that sort of, I want to say, division out of the box. The developers know where they go. The C-level position holders know where they go. It's all in one place. And of course, if we, for any other aim, let's say a PCI perspective, they need that report, we can still export it. They have it all there. So again, on that front, PlexTrac is a huge relief. It's the same thing without the headache, again, to repeat myself.
Yeah. And Ben, I'm curious from your perspective, kind of taking a step back and talking about the entire engagement lifecycle. As a director, you're probably responsible for not only making sure that your testers are are billable, so to speak. I mean, that they have engagements to work on, but that you can continue to develop your business in terms of having more clients, having more engagements, being able to probably move to like a continuous testing type framework for certain customers. Talk to me a little bit about, from a director's perspective, of what you've seen, how you've seen PlexTrac help throughout maybe all engagement, all life cycle, all phases of the life cycle for an engagement.
Yeah, great question, Dan. I think I'll start with basically on the how, or how our specific workflow and how it makes our team more efficient basically. We don't start from scratch every time. That's a big win for us. We maintain a curated, vetted findings library that PlexTrac allows this to us. This ensures that every report has the same consistency and high quality remediation guidance that we expect throughout the team, regardless of which consultants perform the test. We use a variety of best-in-class tools like Nessus and Burp, and PlexTrac allows us to normalize the data very fast, deduplicating findings so the client doesn't get cluttered reports with the same issues listed 5 times, for example. And I guess one of our biggest differentiators is that real-time finding review. We can publish, like Sarah talked about, we can publish the verified findings to the client as we find them, which allows their dev teams to start fixing critical holes on day 2 of the engagement rather than day 20. So I see a huge shift from our clients, our current clients, and new clients that we sort of pitch this approach to them. And they are all for switching this new approach and getting that better visibility, better interaction with their teams, and they feel part of the team, basically. Like Ido mentioned, we're taking them to the journey, our journey of securing their environments.
That's great. And you mentioned something, that I think that is important to kind of highlight. In the beginning stages of the engagement, you're using, industry standard and best in class tools like Nessus, Burp, other, probably other tools as well that we can bring those into PlexTrac and automatically kind of aggregate them. But then also you mentioned the findings library, and I think this is a really key aspect to efficiency and quality control within PlexTrac. Talk to us a little bit about how your testers maybe use that findings library, and then how does it help facilitate the QA workflow, your QA process before you actually get ready to deliver those results.
Yeah, definitely. So PlexTrac allows us to perform the QA in the application itself. So while the findings are being drafted, there's always a member of the team to conduct the internal peer review QA process. So PlexTrac gives us that ability in line within the application itself to reach finding and basically what it will look like at the report at the end. But it saves us at the end of the day reporting time and review time once the testing itself is done. So by incorporating that QA process during the test, it again saves us time and effort and gives more efficiency to the customer.
Yeah. And Ido, I'm sure you can maybe, attest, Sarah, did you have a question? But
Oh, no, I was just going to comment that, I definitely see across our customer base, with the content library, they're very specific as well as, they can be in the tone of voice or the way that they're delivering the report. So having that kind of consistent tone is definitely key, as you're expanding across more pen testers in your firm. So.
Yeah, and Ido, I don't know if you've got any comments on just using that content library, how it might help, just continue to ensure that consistency and quality without slowing down.
Of course. For me, it's when those relatively special findings occur, and I'm like, how am I supposed to report this? I mean, I understand the problem, but I need to put it into words now and make it as understandable as I can. And then wait a second, maybe somebody already, okay, here we can see it very visibly. It's written very well. And the last time we found this, the client very much liked this description already. So we can start by reusing this. It's all there. For me, it's part of that same historical retention. It doesn't have to be one client with one test. It can be our entire work as a whole in one place as a database of sorts.
Yeah. And, sorry, Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, just for me as a director, as a high level nugget here, that I find it very useful onboard new penetration testers and consultants with that, because they don't need to go through the process of what am I doing now? Where am I starting? Am I doing the reporting like I did before in the previous firm? Like I mentioned, we have that library, we have that QA process, so they are very fast to onboard and do the work as we expect, as our clients expect it to.
And then I would think that this also can help onboard them a lot faster, right? In terms of training, they understand how the voice and how you present those findings.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit. So with that QA workflow that we have within PlexTrac, that continues to allow you to assign comments, track changes, all of that to people that are doing the review. We talked a little bit about that. And then once you actually can publish the results, talk to us a little bit about how, any examples that you have of customers that have been able to truly start getting their issues fixed and have better visibility? Have you seen improvements there?
Yes, definitely. And it all boils down to how PlexTrac present the findings, and they have the issue tracking option there, which it's kind of like a conversation between our consultants and the client development team. So whenever we publish a finding, and they get that into their mailbox or through their ticketing service, whatever ticketing platform integration they use, and they start tracking this or fixing, there's a conversation going between us and them through the application, and we see if they have any questions, they come back to us. They don't need to wait for an email to go on and then the next day. So there's a lot of speed in terms of remediation, and if something was not clear by the finding itself, it is made clear during the time that they ask us those questions.
Yeah, and Sarah, maybe talk a little bit about what we have in PlexTrac related to kind of workflow automation and things like that for
Yeah,
ticketing.
absolutely. I mean, you mentioned our QA workflow, which just helps, the reviewers or the testers actually make sure that the report is, ready and available for delivery. So that was just recently introduced within PlexTrac in our 225 version. So that should be available to all of our customers now, and that's really exciting. But then, as Dan mentioned, we've also introduced a a workflow automation tool as well, that really helps you, automate that whole process. And that can be, implemented on maybe your report findings. Maybe if a report finding meets a certain condition, you might want to assign it to a certain owner or send it to a certain remediation tool, things like that. So you can, have a lot of granularity on what might trigger that workflow automation. And then in that workflow automation tool as well, you can really help that create your report even faster. So perhaps when you're pulling down, findings with a certain tag, maybe you have an ISO tag associated to that or some kind of compliance test, you can make sure as you're pulling those findings into the report for your client that that's applying your appropriate template within PlexTrac as well. So just a few automated steps that, PlexTrac can help you set up as you're doing different types of penetration or security tests as well. So, but yeah, we've had a lot of great success from our customers, using our workflow automation tool because it's so simple to use. That's one thing I'm really proud about. You don't have to be a coder to use it. It's a very simple, if these conditions are met, then perform these set of actions. So definitely been seeing our customers take that for complex workflows or even simple workflows like closeout informational findings as they come in. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And just the aspect of being able to automate as much of this process as possible really helps not only improve morale for the testers and the folks that are dealing with some of these smaller tasks, but like in the reporting aspects, because I mean I think Ido and Ben, we can all relate that hackers love to hack. We love to test. We love to find the intricate exploits and be able to, really dig in and see how we can think like an attacker. That's the fun part of the job. And with every job, there's always the not so much fun parts. And that's like the actual, like, hey, I actually have to write this up and report this. But you want to ensure that your customers understand exactly what you did and the hard work that went into it. So that report is a really important piece of the engagement. It's probably the most important piece. And so being able to automate as much of that process as possible. And then once they have it, automating what they can do with it, making their lives easier, which brings better visibility, right? Because the more automation you can have around actually taking this finding and moving it to where it needs to go without a lot of hand holding and asking questions, being able to automate that, it really does improve the actual outcomes for those results. Do you have any other examples like Ben or Ido of customers that you've been able to see maybe some progress from like what you were doing before versus using PlexTrac?
Of course. In the past, I had to make spreadsheets, and every time it was a whole new thing with new columns to populate for every same thing that I was doing before. So, I mean, the vulnerabilities don't change, but the requirement from the client does. And that sort of integration where directly where I report to, they can just take that away to their own platform and track how they're fixing it. Not only streamlines things, it makes it faster, and our entire communication with the client improves as a whole as a result of that.
Yeah, and I think I've definitely seen, with some of the flexibility in the mobilization or remediation phase as well, we now have support for Azure DevOps, which we didn't before. We also have support for the ServiceNow Marketplace. We've been seeing some customers, push to that marketplace support. And of course, Jira. And I think, being able to, like you said, you can push those findings into their tool of choice. You can also allow it to perhaps bidirectionally sync back if they did want to, share that information with you. So giving them that type of flexibility to, have it go into their ecosystem versus coming back into yours, I've seen really be an advantage across clients as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so I did want to highlight, hey, we're going to have a Q&A session here in just a minute. So if you do have any questions for us or the CyberGuard Advantage team, feel free to use the Q&A section, and we'll answer those here in a second. But as we kind of talked, we've talked a lot about how we've helped, make the team more efficient for their reporting and their QA workflow, and then having ensuring that quality without actually speeding up the reporting process, and then results in better outcomes for the clients. What other final kind of topics, have you seen in terms of what have been the outcomes for your business as CyberGuard Advantage?
For us as a business, we spoke about it at length in terms of efficiency, which actually translate to cost to the client and gives us the opportunity to have those more thorough engagements for less cost for the clients for some engagements. So, for example, we had a large client 2 years ago that started using PlexTrac. They had a big environment with many applications that need to be tested as separate engagements, and they didn't want a checkbox activity. They didn't want a checkbox report. They were used to getting the penetration test report, and then later, after a few weeks or a few months, a retest report. So in the case where we introduced them to PlexTrac, and they were able to assign those findings to specific individuals from their team and fix them during the engagement, they ended up getting just one final report that had cut down all the things that were fixed. Only the things that were remaining were there, which saved them a lot of time going back and forth and to the stakeholders and displaying a bunch of findings there that were going to be fixed anyway. And for us, again, it saves us on additional effort for reporting at the end and going back and forth through many months with the client. So there's a great value to the clients there.
That's great. And I think, so like without PlexTrac, how long do you think that whole process would have taken, both from like getting the report into their hands and then that back and forth during their kind of remediation life cycle?
Typically and historically, if a penetration test takes 2-3 weeks, and then traditionally a report will take another 2 weeks to produce and deliver to the client, waiting for them to digest the report and disseminate throughout all the different stakeholders, and then come back to us with questions, and then have a report walkthrough sessions with them, help them along the way. This process can take up to 6 months, if not more, sometimes, depending on the size of the environment. And we were able to reduce this to a couple of weeks worth of effort and duration with select clients.
Yeah. So from months to weeks is pretty demonstrable. So, how does that help then your business as a whole? I mean, I would think that, it's allowed you to scale.
Definitely. Well, first of all, it allows us to do more engagement in a shorter time frame where we're not able to do that before. And when clients see that we still maintain the quality that they were used to before, and still doing the same good work that we did before, but in a much more faster way, and the most important part is the remediation for the client. So they were able to remediate things faster, which benefits all of us. and repeat customers and getting word of mouth out there and getting us new clients through this. We're able to grow our practice basically.
Yeah, which is which is just better outcomes for everybody, not only as a business, but also for your clients, being able to feel like, hey, you're able to do more for them in a shorter amount of time, right? Go deeper on a specific engagement, or if you've got those continuous engagement philosophy or contracts where you can do testing on a recurring basis, you can get further into the environment faster. You can cover more of the scope and the depth. So that's really trying to stay one step ahead of the attackers as best as possible, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's basically the shift left approach that we have also implemented on some of our clients that have those environments and are open to this. So they basically, it's not a time boxed activity or engagement. We are helping them along the entire life cycle of the application development from start to finish. We're testing throughout all the stages, and they see it almost live on the platform.
Yeah, yeah. And then from the just like the I'm going to ask you this question, like kind of talk to me, like has morale or within your testing team changed at all through using PlexTrac?
Yes, yes, it has. The collaboration aspect of it. Having to version different documents. Oh, this guy has looked at this yet? Did he review this document yet? Suddenly it becomes, again, that live thing. It's always up to date. Hey, man, I entered some new findings. Can you please help me review them before we post them to the clients? And another manager comes in. He's like, hey, guys, I saw you entered those. This is not a good finding. Please shift it. It's the verbiage here is not as good. It becomes that live thing that takes versioning out of the equation and allows us to collaborate live on the same platform instead of having to send documents between each other or even consolidate them on our own place inside the company. And of course, the visibility to the client as well. Does the client did they already get that? Or can we maybe touch it up a little bit before? Because I just thought about a better way to put this finding into Words, for example, or change that screenshot.
Yeah, we introduced our, real-time collaboration. It seems like so long ago now, Dan, but it was a great point, that, really allowing even your testers to come in there and work confidently together at the same time on the same report is a huge time savings itself. And then, we're releasing out as we speak here a revision history feature so that on those real-time collaboration fields, you can feel confident that, all of that data is there if you did need to go back to a previous version or things like that. So, I often take for granted some of the real-time collaboration features that we implemented a while back and how, impactful they really are to our testers. So it's a great point.
Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about it from your guys' perspective. We wanted to kind of wrap this part of the session up with just some actual quotes and maybe talk through us. We don't have to read them all, but maybe talk through each one of what the customer might have been experiencing and now what they're able to do with you through PlexTrac.
Yeah. So what I like about this feedback is that even though it's from different clients, the theme is really consistent here. Right? The first thing we keep hearing is clarity. Clients appreciate that the findings are easy to understand, the evidence is strong, and they know what to do next. That's a big one because the report only matters if it actually helps people take action. The second thing is speed to action, not just speed to delivery. One client called out that they didn't have to wait until the final report to start making decisions. They were able to engage during testing, ask questions, and begin prioritizing fixes right away. And that's exactly the experience that we aim for. And the third thing here is that making remediation manageable. It's one thing to identify issues. It's a completely other thing to track them, validate fixes, and communicate progress internally. Yeah. The feedback here really highlights that the workflow made that process easier, especially when it comes to retesting and proving closure to the stakeholders, right? So basically at the high level, the common thread is clear findings, the collaborative process, and the practical remediation follow through.
Yeah, and I think that we touched a little bit on it, but just being able to speed up that whole retest process and the validation stage of hey, we fixed this, is it truly resolved? You know, that in and of itself can almost be a full other engagement. And so just being able to collaborate effectively on the retest and having that historical view for your customers over time, you know, continues to show your body of work of the value that you've provided, without losing the uniqueness of your company and how you actually have the unique touch that you have with your customers and the processes that you already employ, regardless of whether you were using PlexTrac or not.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. One, we can't thank you enough for all sharing the insight and the value. Sarah, maybe share a little bit about anything that we have coming, and then I'm going to open it up to Q&A. We've got some questions here. If you have some questions for us or for the CyberGuard Advantage team, feel free to throw that into the Q&A, and then we'll jump in. So.
Absolutely. So, as Dan started PlexTrac, for that reporting automation company. And as you guys may have seen, we've obviously been entering into that exposure assessment platform category. We were recently named on the Gartner Magic Quadrant for that category. And so really, we're focused on keeping all of that great feature set and things that we have for our reporting, but really expanding that even more so to really let PlexTrac be that centralized data hub so that you can start bringing in, your vulnerability management, start performing vulnerability management operations, and really bringing those teams together inside of PlexTrac. So I think some of the things that we have that are really exciting coming up are, we're about to introduce our MCP server, which can help our PlexTrac users just even, utilize the platform even more quickly, more efficiently through the MCP server. And then we're also working on some exciting new API integrations so that you can, continuously bring that data in from tools like Tenable, Rapid7, Qualys, etc., while also having those, Pentest findings that you guys are entering in there as well. So really exciting, but mainly focused on some, big integrations coming up and some exciting adoption for MCP.
Yeah, we're always trying to innovate. We're always trying to help our customers make their lives as easy as possible so that they, our mission is to help teams win the right cybersecurity battles, right? And that means staying focused on the right things. So being able to stay focused on the testing and getting those results written up as quickly as possible so that the people that are responsible for fixing them can have them in their hands faster, and so that the issues get resolved, hopefully before any adversary actually identifies those weaknesses. So that's our mission. We're always trying to innovate to help in all of those aspects of the workflow and life cycle. So let's dive in. We've got a couple questions here, and then if anybody else has questions, feel free to chime in. But the first question, and I think this will be good kind of for Ben and Ido, is there a concern about clients making remedial changes that could affect an ongoing pen test? So say you're in the you're doing the engagement, and I think this is how I understand the question. Otherwise, we can have this individual clarify, but they're continuing to remediate things while you're still doing the test because you delivered that critical finding right away, which is important. So, what concerns or how have you kind of managed that process?
So that was a concern at the beginning. We mostly solved that during the kickoffs and onboarding of new clients to the platform and how we actually want this process to work with the clients. So we have a responsibility sort of workflow of what they need to do, what we need to do. Sometimes, specifically for web app testing, that when remediation can affect the code that we are still testing, there is a concern. But again, once we communicated to the customer ahead of time that how the process will work and they're on board with that, we stop seeing that most of the time. Also, when we find something, we make sure it's vetted and all the affected assets have been reported. So we don't need to go back to that finding again in case they started fixing some of those. So I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ido, I don't know if you had anything else to say regarding that in the process, but
I was going to say it comes down to communication. If the client knows that we are going to present something that they're going to be dealing with live, then they're not expecting us to like not touch that piece again. Or it always comes down to the communication. As long as it's clear in the kickoffs before we start, then when we get to it's a living process.
yeah, and I think what we've also seen is that customers are super grateful to have a consistent way to receive results mid engagement, because for a long, I know many folks and maybe even yourselves, they'll have, if it's a longer engagement, you may have like a status check-in kind of meeting, or like a briefing where, hey, here's all that we've tested, here's what we've done, and being able to have those results live and ready is actually a welcome. And so because you've already had the chance to write it up and deliver it, you haven't lost track of the record of what you found, so that you can prove that, hey, you did some work and then they fixed it. Because I know I was on some engagements I've been on engagements where it was genuinely kind of a shoulder surfing scenario where I was doing some testing and they were right there. And I was like, hey, this is going to be a finding. And the guy was like, hey, if I just fix this right now, does it have to go in the report? I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, because I have to show that I provided you value, right? It's not a matter of like getting you in trouble. It's just like, hey, I want to, I want to earn my keep here. So you have that historical record and system of record with PlexTrac, while people can still immediately go fix the issues, which is the right way to do it. Sarah, any last comments on that question?
No, that was funny. You could offer a new live QA service right there as part of your offerings. No, I was just envisioning that. No, but I think also, the fact that you can kind of choose if those things sync back to PlexTrack or whatnot too, gives you that flexibility and control. So,
Yeah, yeah. The next question is probably, Sarah, probably this is a good one for you to take, but is there a standard way to get pen test results? And I can also help it, but is there a standard way to get pen test results into a vuln management and orchestration platform? And I would say like that's what we can do. So I mean, Sarah, maybe talk a little bit about what we can do and where we're going with that. Right?
yeah, absolutely. So, like I was mentioning before, we want to be that unified platform where you can still write those pen test results, but really, publish that for your vuln management team in that unified platform, where you can support that continuous model or, maybe that standalone delivery as well. But obviously with PlexTrac, you can bring your results into PlexTrac and we automatically publish them, into our vulnerability management space as well. Other times we've seen customers just mainly do, an export and import into other tools per se. But we're definitely aiming to make that easier within our single platform to have you just automatically publish those into that vulnerability management space.
Yeah, and then, like we obviously support a lot of different tools and API integrations. And if we don't, we have a standard API framework that you can actually code against. So we have a lot of customers, they may have some unique tools or some unique ways of delivering results, or generating findings that we don't maybe have an integration for. They use our API or like we have a standardized CSV format as well. So lots of different ways to get data in. Ben, Ido, it sounds like you've taken advantage of that. Have you? How has that worked for you?
For us mostly, or for our clients mostly, it's been working as intended, I guess you can call it, because, and I don't know if it's specifically for a vuln management platform, but ticketing systems, which is one of the features that PlexTrac allows here to integrate with the client's ticketing system. And basically that cuts down a lot of time and effort and visibility.
Great. Yeah. So a couple more questions, and then we can we can wrap up the session here by that. One of the questions that actually didn't come through the QA, but I've got it here on the side. Where have you actually seen the biggest time savings, or have you just seen time savings in all the different phases? Whether that's during testing, QA, reporting, just the write-up itself, or delivery. Where have you seen like the most time savings?
For me, it's on the end report part, being able to, as I go document, report, move on, document, report, move on, integrating that into my workflow has that's the major time saver there for me. The alternative was that I would have to take another week in the end of every engagement just to put everything in order, think about how I want to report every single finding there. What are the words that I should be including? What words should not be there? Screenshots. Do I have everything? And having that sort of find, document, report, repeat, this is the major time saver in my opinion.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So so along that lines, I think we've kind of discussed and highlighted that, you had to change a little bit of your process and workflow, from what you were doing before to using PlexTrac. What was it like for, bringing the team on board from a testing perspective and reporting perspective? Was there any hesitancy or any things that they really had to work through on changing, and how did they react to that? Or any tips for like truly just kind of coming on board with using PlexTrac and maybe changing some of your processes?
Yeah, there was definitely some growing pains at the beginning, just seeing the value of the platform and the shifting of the testing approach where you can actually report on your findings before the penetration test is done. Like usually they were thinking like, do I have budget? Do I have time to finish the test? Why do I need this? Will I go over budget? So we made sure everything is clear to them, and budget is also pretty clear. And by being more effective, basically, we usually come under budget sometimes. At the end of the day, we want our operators to spend their time finding bugs and not fighting with Word document formatting, right? That's the main goal here. And they saw all the good that they provided them and how fast it allowed them to provide and produce reports.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the goal, right? So another question, does PlexTrac include a recording of the actual test? And I'm not sure exactly what that means, but like if you were using, some kind of screen capture for different test execution, you can include that as either in a couple of different ways within the report. You can include that as an artifact. We have an artifacts section within the reporting where you can upload, any type of file that, say is like a network diagram or specific code that you actually, scripts that you ran. But then also within the write-up of the finding itself, you can add evidence. So you can add screenshots, and then because it's a dynamic, living and breathing platform, you can actually add videos as well. Being a tester myself, I always love to be able to show customers, a video from start to finish of how I exploited something, especially like in a web app, where you might have to talk through a lot of different steps. So the adage around PlexTrac is that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and a video is worth 1,000 pictures, maybe more. So, there is the notion of being able to have the evidence around the actual testing capabilities to be able to be stored in PlexTrac as well. Right. Okay, a couple more, and then I think we're just at about time. So if someone wanted to start automating their delivery model, what is the first step that you would recommend? How do you go about doing this within PlexTrac, and I guess maybe bringing your customers on board? Was there any kind of discussion around you using this new dynamic platform?
There was, of course, discussion, and our goal again was to make sure everything is clear by communicating what we expect this to produce to the client and what the value that they can get out of this. Again, not all clients will choose to go because some of them are just looking for compliance and a checkbox activity, which is fine. But we want to go beyond that, and that's the value that they see in using this platform, both from client side and from our internal team.
Fantastic. All right, and then the final question I think is a good one to wrap up, because it kind of highlights like what our vision has been for a long time. But like somebody asked, like, why the name PlexTrac? And PlexTrac is actually a merging of words that is a plexus. So a plexus is a fully meshed network. The idea being that we have a world full of testers and sources of findings and different companies and all these different ecosystems within cybersecurity, and we're all trying to actually accomplish the same mission of improving. So the more fully meshed we are, the better we are together in terms of having that connectivity and that centralization. That's kind of like the notion of a plexus. Bringing that all together to actually track and remediate your findings to completion and improving the security posture. That's kind of how the name PlexTrac came to be, is like the combination of a plexus, a fully meshed network, and being able to highlight and have visibility across all of those different entities into a single source where you can show your progress over time as the tracking piece of track. So that's how the name PlexTrac came to be. It's a great question. I get that quite frequently as well. So I just want to kind of, as we wrap up, I want to kind of hand the mic over to everybody for any kind of last things to say, and then we'll let everybody get on with their day. But Sarah, anything from your side?
Yeah, definitely just want to remind anyone that you can contact our sales team or request a demo, right, to learn more about PlexTrac. We can walk you through that. We have a great onboarding team and sales engineer team as well. And then, of course, you can also reach out to CyberGuard for their services. And I think, when I was looking at CyberGuard, what I really like is the way that you guys kind of can offer that boutique experience to each of your clients. So they're feeling very, specialized and individualized, where you can, actually get that efficiency and save time behind the scenes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just highlight, I love working with our customers, love working with our partners like CyberGuard Advantage. We view these relationships within PlexTrac as true partnerships to help them grow, help you all do your business better, so that you can deliver better services, deliver more frequent services, grow your businesses. We all grow together. The rising tide lifts all ships kind of a mentality, but we truly do love partnering with folks. So if you're interested, check us out. Ben, Ido, anything from your side?
Well, two things. First of all, the PlexTrac team has great support as well, because we start as a client need support. They have a great support portal, and they answer very fast. And they also have, I don't remember how you call it, but idea platform. Any clients that uses PlexTrac and has ideas on how to improve or feature requests, they can submit. We've seen some of the features get implemented, so great job there. And I guess the last golden nugget for me is that here at CyberGuard Advantage, we believe that the pentest is only as valuable as the fix that it enables. And our collaboration with PlexTrac is about shrinking the time between discovery and remediation, so our clients are actually safer, resilient, and not just compliant.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, Ido, any last words?
Ben just did it. I couldn't have done it better.
Yeah, well, that was great. Thanks, Ben. And thanks, Ben and Ido, for your time today. We know it's valuable. We know you're busy. So really appreciate taking time to kind of share your experience with PlexTrac. And again, thanks everybody for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your week. And this will be available for download later if you have any questions. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either team, and we can certainly get you the answers. But I really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you all next time. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.